Car guy Jeremy Cato, our guest. He writes for the Globe and Mail, senior features writer, and for other things. You blog, too. Of course, you blog. Lamborghini Aventador. Well,
you know, if you're late for work,
yes,
you need a car that can go 0 to 100 kilometers in, I don't know, 3 seconds.
Of course you do. Look at that.
And that's it.
Is that like the Gallardo? Is that the, there's a Gallardo.
That's the Gallardo replacement.
That's the Gallardo replacement.
Right, which is, you know, the Gallardo shares its underbody basically with the Audi R8 because Lamborghini is owned by Volkswagen.
Right.
Right, and so the reason you can see a car like that come in, you know, exciting, on time, fast turnover, because a Gallardo is not, you know, typically these high performance supercars last for a decade in the marketplace.
Sure.
The Aventador is going to replace the Gallardo, I think, next year. And all of a sudden, you've got a new design, a new flavor to it. And I can tell you on the stand in Geneva, I mean, Lamborghini is all about sex appeal and speed.
Sure.
So the stand is just crowded with gorgeous models draped over this car. And, you know, most car journalists like me are middle-aged guys, you know, and we don't mind looking at
drooling.
Well, you know, I don't think drooling is a little harsh, but
well, what would you call it?
Just enjoying the
lusting,
enjoying the beauty of the moment.
Yes. Talking about fuel consumption and CO2 emission, yes. Right? I'm not buying this.
You're not buying that, okay.
Not over that car. 217 mph, probably?
Yeah,
that fast?
So that's over 300 kilometers an hour.
No.
Which, there are still places in the world where you can drive legally those speeds, and it is pretty fun. I mean, I've done it in Germany and some other parts of the world. But the thing is, these cars are being built not just for North America or Europe. One of the biggest market for these vehicles now is going to be China. I mean, you know, and
or Russia maybe.
Russia to a certain extent, but I think you sell more bulletproof vehicles in Russia than you do high-performance race cars, because there's a lot of crime in Russia. I mean, Russia is just crime infested. But China, if you do a lot of crime in China, you get executed.
That's true. You could go to Bev Hills, where all the Russians live now.
Yeah.
park it right in the middle of Bev Hills.
Probably a Russian waiting for me as I walk out here. But
perhaps.
Yeah. But you know, right. The auto show you need to go to is the Moscow Auto Show this summer.
Really?
It is the wildest. We don't have time to talk about it, but because we've gone completely off track of the Aventador. The Aventador, one of the places Lamborghini's talked about, is going to be a big market for them is China, and I'm actually going to China in May to shoot an episode of the TV show because we really want to look at all this, and we're going to go to Beijing and Shanghai, and it'll be fun.
Exactly, and you'll be talking about weight to power ratio.
Exactly.
Of the car.
Exactly.
Of course you will.
Or the models on the car.
Or, I was thinking that.
What power they have through their lightweight.
What power they have. That's so amazing. A little top heavy, perhaps?
Well, yeah. They're all lovely.
Bugatti. Is it the
Veyron?
Veyron? It's a super sport.
Yeah.
Top speed, what?
Well, I mean, you know, again, you need a car that can do 400 kilometers an hour. And
that's
you know, it's a beautiful car. I think this is about $500,000. And you know, in Geneva, there's a lot of cars that sell for half a million bucks. We looked at some Spanish supercars that were, you know, $750,000, $1 million. This particular one, again, Bugatti's another Volkswagen brand.
Right. Does it come in automatic?
Yes. Yeah.
Kind of embarrassing to drive it in automatic, but
well, I mean, these kinds of, you know, that
convenient.
A Veyron is not a car you drive a lot. That's the car you drive to in a premiere. You go for a Saturday afternoon drive. You go have a cappuccino by the, you know, in Capri or something of that nature. Of course you do. Yeah. So it is
in my other life.
Well, you can do it in the summer. You know, there's companies that rent supercars for the afternoon.
Well, that's true. You know, and in Europe, well, you can rent a Fiat. Little baby Fiat,
that
why
would
not?
be fun too. Or you could rent a Vespa, and you know, I think Capri and Vespas probably go hand in hand.
Why not?
Yeah.
Okay, the Land Rover. Now this coupe, is it more like Range Rover? Tell me about this one.
Well, Land Rover, this is the Evoque concept.
No, it's not. It's rounder.
Well, this is a small Land Rover that's coming to market in the end of this year. There'll be a whole line of, and Land Rover, of course, has got the same problems that every other big manufacturer has, is you've got to meet new emissions, fuel economy regulations. So they are downsizing, they're offering a downsized version of one of their vehicles. This is it, the new Evoque. There'll be a 5-door version, this is the 5-door, there'll be a 3-door version of it, all coming to Canada this fall.
Really?
They will have front-wheel drive, they'll have all-wheel drive, they'll have small powertrains. There's talk, I think it's pretty clear, they're going to have an electric drivetrain or at least a hybrid drivetrain version of this. And it's all about expanding the Land Rover lineup into not just big hulking, super fuel guzzling SUVs, but into something more
So that handles
sensible.
well, good Whistler car, perhaps.
Yeah, well,
not in the lime green, but maybe in the black.
But again, you mentioned two-tone. Look at this again.
I know.
Black roof, white body.
Yeah, I like that car.
I think that's going to be a slam dunk winner, and it's in a segment there with the BMW X3 and Acura RDX and Audi Q5, and this is where all the action is in the luxury marketplace in Canada. So Canadian buyers will be really interested.
You wrote an article about do I buy a Ford Focus fully loaded,
all
the bells and whistles, or do I buy an Audi?
Right. Well, an Audi A3, which with not as much stuff.
Right.
So you can get a Ford Focus with voice-activated controls and sync and all that sort of stuff, with a 160 horsepower four-cylinder engine, best fuel economy in its class. Or you can get an Audi A3 with not as many bells and whistles, but a better brand. So you have to.
It's why I drive the mini BMW or the little BMW, and lucky it has a radio.
Yeah, 3 Series.
Doesn't have any bells and whistles.
You have the leatherette interior.
Yeah, but looks cool inside.
Leatherette actually lasts better than the leather. So it's
okay. Well, it's practical.
Yeah, it is.
The Rolls-Royce, is that the Phantom?
Yeah, but this is the electric Rolls-Royce. Remember, we're in the green world now, right? So everybody's got to have a green offering of some kind, and the Phantom we saw in Geneva. Right. Well, there you go. There's the electric drive right there under the hood, right behind the.
Another simple little car.
Well,
for
the challenge is going to be for automakers to meet their fuel economy regulations and the emissions regulations that come into effect by 2016.
Okay.
And the big high performance makers that have been selling these hulking vehicles cannot do it.
No.
With their traditional offerings. And the second piece is that if you can charge a premium for advanced technology in the luxury marketplace, and the marketers are now trying to position electric drive as a premium offering, not just a mainstream offering, but the best electric drive vehicles will be in the premium segment. So you're going to see.
Why not? Well, you wrote about the E-Type Jag today.
Electric vehicles. The E-Type.
E-Type Jag in your Globe article today. My kind of car. I'm going to have to find a Baron. I'm telling you.
Don't you love that? If that's not the most beautiful car ever designed,
truly,
it is one of them. Now, the designer of that car was a fellow named Malcolm Sayer. Malcolm Sayer was actually an aerospace engineer. Who worked for Bristol Aerospace during the war, and then he went to work for Jaguar. He was basically a mathematician. And what made the E-Type so interesting is that it was the ultimate expression of geometric mathematical forms. Right. And he really wanted to have the most aerodynamic car you could make. And in 1961, when that car was introduced at the Geneva Auto Show in March, there were no crash test regulations, there were no emissions regulations. So you're looking at the purest form of a vehicle. Today you couldn't make a car like that because, for example, those headlights, those glass headlights, wouldn't pass crash test regulations, right? So and you wouldn't be able, and the structure was just pure rounded forms and beautiful lines, and it was all about the aesthetics of the vehicle, not about. And you have time for a quick story about this?
Yeah, it used to be British Racing Green was the color.
Well, but don't you like the gray?
Oh yeah.
And we were standing there with Ian Callan, the chief designer of Jaguar cars, and he said that gray today you won't see it very much because we lose a lot more reds in our grays to make it more lively looking. But that car, when it was introduced in Geneva, they were working on it at Jaguar in the British Midlands till the last possible moment, and then they drove it to Geneva, averaging 70 miles an hour. Now, this is 1961, right? Racing to get there. They got there 20 minutes before the unveiling, and Sir William Lyons, at that time the chairman of Jaguar, was waiting on this hotel in Lake Geneva. Where's the car? Where's the car? Where's the car? Where's the car? And the last minute, 20 minutes before he got up there in front of all the journos, they drove the car up, wiped it down very quickly, pulled it up, instant hit, like instant hit.
No kidding.
$6,000 when it was introduced.
No.
Yeah.
My friend I grew up with had an old XKE. We should have kept that. That and the Austin Healey. Now, what about convertibles? Anything exciting convertible-wise?
Well, what pictures you got here?
I've got a Smart 4.2.
Oh well, this is a fun little box, right? Again, urban city cars. When I was testing this is going to come to Canada in the next generation of smart cars. The first time I tested a smart car, I drove it over to Robson Street, parked it in the middle of those two Starbucks that are Robson and Thurlow, right facing each other. What crowds! Everybody came out with their lattes and their.
What was that?
That's me.
That's the police.
Sorry.
Is your time up? Is that your heart monitor or your phone?
Boy, that is so embarrassing. Oh,
No, you always turn that off. I don't
did.
know.
How did I do that? Well,
Maybe you need attention today. I don't know.
You know, my life is coming apart.
Who was it? Is what I always ask.
It's probably the real estate agent.
Who was it?
We'll
Maybe it's the Geneva police.
Well, no, they don't have things.
Okay,
so we parked the Smart there.
Okay.
All the crowds came out. It was amazing. Everybody, they wanted the car. It's a totally West End, urban, Yaletown kind of car.
Sure.
And that's where they sell a couple thousand here in Canada.
Why not? Nice to see you,
Oh,
as
boy.
always.
Yeah,
Thank
there was
you.
the big groan from the crew with the phone.
I know.
I don't want to leave the set because I'm going to get hit.
Yes, you are. But at least it wasn't a bad ring. Jeremy, Cato.